So I'm excited to start this channel, and the reason is because, well, I'm 29 years old. It's just now that I'm starting to really feel like, okay, I've got a lot of this young men experience down, where it's like I'm experienced with things like women more, I'm experienced with things like working hard and earning money more, I'm experienced more with things like traveling and how to do it well and doing it in a frugal way, or like I'm more experienced with like fashion and knowing like what's fashionable, and I had to learn the hard way. And a lot of these things, it's like, wow, if only somebody would have told me, James, like your clothes. So like a few years ago, if somebody would have said, James, I love you, man, but your clothes are just definitely too big for your body size. They're too baggy. You look kind of overweight. It's weird. You could wear clothes that are not so big. Basically, my goal in this is I've talked to different people of my age, like in their late 20s or in their early 30s, different guys in particular, and I've read a lot of books, different things, and whether it be on masculinity, leadership, stuff like that, and kind of saying like, this is really interesting on a psychological, sociological level. And that's a big thing too, is I'm a grad student in psychology. I've read a lot of research on psychology and attraction and stuff like that. And my goal is to kind of empower and encourage men, because I think a lot of men are kind of, like I said, they maybe didn't have a dad or somebody around that would teach them these things of like, hey, like when you shave your beard, make sure that you like make it defined and distinct right here, because if it looks just kind of blurry and fuzzy, it doesn't look as sharp or distinguished. The idea is little things like that, where I wish somebody would have told me, and for years in my early 20s, I had no idea, and I was maybe more behind most guys. But the point is, a lot of guys are behind, and I think there's a lot that I'm excited to share, because like I said, I want to encourage men, I want to empower men, and I think a lot of men are, sometimes you get a hard time as a man because, well, masculinity, at least in the university, that many of the universities I've been at, a lot of times it's like being masculine or assertive or independent is kind of like thought of as like, no, bad, like men should be androgynous and kind of like this in-between thing. And basically a lot of universities turn men into wimps. Other cases, now not all churches do this, but I think some churches and people outside of churches a lot of times can have an effect on Christian men, because a lot of guys are like, hey, I want to be a Christian, but at the same time, I don't want to be a wimp. And nonetheless, though, like sometimes churches can be so strict on not being willing to disagree in a frank way that's still respectful but frank. And sometimes people outside of churches, a lot of times, will kind of make Jesus out to be kind of like this hippie wimp, when he definitely wasn't. When you read about like the Gospels, for example, and you see like whether or not you believe in Jesus as having existed or having been supernatural or divine, you can definitely see that the way he's depicted is he's not depicted as a wimp. And so nonetheless, our culture though can sometimes make it seem like Jesus is a kind of this like laid back wimp who wouldn't disagree with anybody. And so the idea is, whether it be like some universities or some churches or some feminists who sometimes will bash on masculinity in men, the idea is this will hopefully be an encouraging way for men to learn, grow, and be happy in their masculinity and feel comfortable with it, and to be happy in their own masculinity. So thanks, I'm excited, and I hope you check out the videos. Love to hear your comments. If you've got additional things that you'd like to share that might add information that's valuable to people, please share them in the comments. And I would love to have you subscribe so you can get instant updates on when new videos come out. And you can also follow me on Top 5 for Men on Twitter. So have a good one, and thanks for checking out Men's Top 5.